Yeah, that's fine.
All right, we'll go ahead and get started. Preliminary determination hearing number 2. This board must hold a projects hearing on the proposed projects. If you're interested in speaking in the hearing, please make sure that you have signed the sign-in sheet at the back of the room, or it's up here now, which should include your name and address. After presentation by the administration as professional team, there will be an opportunity for the public to make comments about the projects. We will ask that each person limit their comments to 3 minutes and the topic be limited to proposed projects under consideration. Our first item on the agenda is for the board to hold this project and preliminary hearing on the proposed construction projects. If you're interested in speaking again, please make sure you have signed the sign-in sheet, which should include your name and address. At this specific hearing, we will ask that each person limit their comments to the proposed projects and under consideration. The notice of this preliminary determination hearing was published as legally required. The first preliminary hearing was held on June 25th. At this time, I will ask Trent to explain the purpose of this hearing. Trent?
Thank you, Mr. Beatty. The purpose of this hearing, this preliminary determination hearing, is to pre-authorize for a certain set amount of money towards improvements across the district that will touch virtually all buildings. Will also allow us to consolidate for efficiency reasons. Also take into consideration past historical decisions, like our current presence at the North Complex currently. We've been planning since September, having a lot of good discussions, board, our partners, Gibraltar, Skillman, Stiefel, Ice Miller. We've heard from staff members and had a lot of great planning meetings over the last 10 months in arriving at our decisions to move forward for just upgrades and improvements across our district that need to be made, whether it's plumbing in the ceiling or a transportation department that we don't have currently, or a centralized maintenance department, which we don't have currently. A lot of great discussion. Things need to be upgraded and move forward for a number of reasons. And we've identified those objectives. There's a long-term plan in place as well. And we do appreciate, again, Gibraltar and Skillman for their numbers, their wisdom in this process. Thank you.
Okay. Pursuant to Indiana Code 20-26-7-37, before a school corporation may spend more than $1 million to build, repair, alter the school building that will be financed by lease or bonds, it must hold a public hearing at which explanations of potential value of the project to the school corporation and community are given. Similarly, pursuant to Indiana Code 61120.3.1, a school corporation with certain debt service tax rate must hold 2 public hearings and adopt a resolution to preliminarily determine to issue bonds or enter into a lease for a project which has a total project cost that exceeds certain thresholds. These public hearings and the consideration of resolutions represent the beginning of legal process. So resolutions presented at this meeting establish a maximum financial terms for the proposed projects. We will now hear from Mr. McCormick about the process determining and communicating.
You get this? Yeah.
No, that's after this one.
Okay.
On mine.
Gibraltar, are you ready at this time?
Chris Kingery with Gibraltar Design. Thank you for having me back this evening and walk us through the educational needs and the projects to meet the educational needs. Clearly, you can see everything that we will be going over this evening. We have gone through some of this. I think you're fully aware of the mission statement. We probably don't need to read that. But also from our beginning of our journey together of looking at the primary objectives when we're looking at projects, not looking at just immediate needs, but immediate needs that address long-term and all the other things that are considered throughout the design process. Where we appreciate landing on this long-range facility master planning for the district is the time that staff took to share their input with us, along with our facility assessments and our architects and engineers, looking at every single thing in the building, things that are exciting, things not exciting, things you can see, things that you can't see, just to make sure that the school board is well equipped with information to know what may be coming short term that they should be planning for, but also what are some of those things that you're worried about that could be on the back burner as well. So as part of this process and also going through the prioritization with the school board, we are pleased that this does, as Superintendent McCormick mentioned, touch K-12, all learners across the district, addresses some historical needs that have been talked about for quite some time that would be able to be addressed with this, addressing some major maintenance cost items. I know that internally there's some things that you can do with the teams that you have, but there are some items that are a little bit harder because it's a little bit bigger beyond the scope of what you can handle with your maintenance facility team. And then district facility upgrades to get your buildings on a cycle. You know, it's really hard when all of your buildings need the exact same thing at the exact same time. And so being able to address this in this way allows that kind of getting the buildings on that cycle of need. Also balancing mechanical, electrical, plumbing, again, some things not exciting that needs to happen, but also some aesthetic needs that would create some improvements for the learning environments as well. It's also maximizing, you'll see today, there's not a lot of new square footage or new construction. It is making what you have currently the best use of the square footage that you do have. And then again, everything master plan was rooted in the facility study and the staff input. Now we've identified the immediate primary needs of updating and modifying key operational areas in the building, some site improvements as well, and then some MEP, which is mechanical, electrical, plumbing, infrastructure upgrades, and then sustaining the student learning environments throughout the schools and the opportunities for your students. You don't need to see this, you live here, so you understand the map of where the schools are located, but just from point of reference. And then now we're going to do a brief overview of each of the projects. So if you can see the Tiger North, the opportunities for the Tiger North campus allows for a Peru Resource Center where you can put multiple functions underneath the same square footage of that building. looking at transportation, maintenance, administration. But what we do like about projects is when one project can solve 5 different issues that you might have. So with some additional parking that would be allowed for spaces, also access to public restrooms to be utilized for the facilities, and then also master plan for if you were to do new tennis courts down the road. We want to make sure that there's always a plan for in the future, if you were to do something, here is a space that you can do it. So you can see everything that would be in Project A on that Tiger North campus. This is just more of a detailed view about programming, and it is making sure, I know it's not the easiest to see, but it's an exercise that we go through to determine what are all your needs in transportation, what are all your needs in maintenance, and then also from an administrative standpoint, to make sure that there's a placeholder and enough square footage to accomplish all of that within the current footprint of that building. And we have confirmed it can happen. And obviously with our partners at Skillman helping us with estimating, that is why we're today at the project hearing. Looking at the Elmwood Primary Learning Center, there's some, you can see quite a bit of the building being touched, mostly with refresh, updating some of the existing finishes that it's time for that cycle. But there's also some program changes that are happening as well when we had conversations with school leadership and then also with the staff input, looking at some small interior adjustments that you can make to improve the function of the school. One primary example would be accessing the cafeteria without going through the gym to get to the cafeteria. So some simple interior solutions that would be able to solve that. And then the items that you see listed here are just some of those mechanical, electrical, plumbing items that need to be upgraded. And if you're in the building doing a project, now's the time to do it because you would get more bang for your buck on that investment. Moving in to also included in Project B, which would be the elementary renovations. When we're at Blair Point, there are some exterior improvements that need to happen. So part of this project would be exterior improvements. There are some very minor interior improvements too, as far as like aesthetics and improvement finishes. But there's also some program changes. If you've been in this building, you can see the separation from one side of the building to the other. There's not a lot of cross corridor to be able to access the other side of the building. And so very simple solution. It's great when it's on a map. It just looks like a little strip, but obviously programmatically takes a little bit of space out of the media center storage and functions of that space, but it also allows for student travel to get from one side of the building to the other without going through the gym or the cafeteria or the front main office. Going on to the junior senior high, looking at the main level of this at the high school, clearly some investments on the interior refresh. If you've been in the building, there's some done an excellent job of keeping up with some certain items and some investments at the high school, but there's still some long-term needs that need to be adjusted as well. Some within the walls, some behind the walls, looking at restroom improvements, looking at lockers and other items throughout that main level that need to be addressed. Going to the upper level, very similar story. Again, looking at mechanical, electrical, plumbing, and then also some finishes. So when you see color, it means there's some type of investment happening in that area. Final project that's for discussion this evening, Project D, is looking at the partial demo and site improvements for that long-term trajectory of your old junior high, about what can be done there now in the short term, but also give you some flexibility on that main campus for the future when it comes to parking or whatever might be needed. When you have a high school campus like you do, the real estate on that campus becomes extremely important, not just for now, but for what may happen 10, 20, 30 years down the road. And then the final item, just preventative maintenance, programming improvements. So working with your facility team, we have identified, we know district-wide, there are still some items that we know that it would be best to capture within this versus doing it. We know that these are the items that need to be repaired now that are beyond service life, which would make the efficiency even better on your team and also when you're tracking your utility bills. This time I'm going to turn it over to Tim from Skillman, and he is going to do an overview of the schedule and the proposed cost.
Good evening, everyone. Tim Bunston with the Skillman Corporation. So as Chris said, he's kind of reviewed the scope and the needs throughout the different projects A, B, C, and D, as we'll keep referring to them tonight. So primary responsibilities of construction manager, schedule and budget. So I will talk about both of those real quick. We had the hearing number 1 on July 7th. This is hearing number 2. In September, we'll begin the design phase. Gibraltar will take those scope items that we talked about tonight and start to move forward with the design. Bid projects. So we've got a to be determined in 2026. You'll hear from Luke in a little bit, kind of about how we have some structured debt falling off and whatnot. So we'll group the projects together in different phases, if you would. So that's why we'll probably have multiple bid events, I guess is what I'm trying to say here. So with those multiple bid events, obviously we'll have different schedules. So once again, construction starts also to be determined in 2026. Regardless, you will have projects that start in the 2026 calendar year. All project complete, once again, that's a 2002X because they'll have different finish dates at the same time too. So multiple start dates, multiple finish dates, multiple bid dates. That's why we have multiple projects, A, B, C, and D, listed within this. As far as budget goes, so project A, once again, Tiger North Campus, we have what we call hard cost. So this would be a hard number, bricks and mortar, that you see here, the 4.7 million. Soft cost covers a lot of various things that you see here at the bottom. So furniture, technology, permits, land survey, a lot of this different loose things that actually don't get bid within the construction part of the project. Those things typically equate to a percentage. Once again, nothing is extremely definitive here. These are pretty high order of magnitude estimates in which we believe that can complete the projects. Same thing as we go through the each project here. So this is the Early Primary Learning Center and Blair Point. Total project for that one, $7.170 million, so $7,170,000. Project C, we have $9,010,000. That is for the Peru Junior Senior High School. Lastly, Project D for the former junior high school renovation, $1,585,000. So with that being said, total bond issue that you're looking at tonight is $23,500,000. That's both hard and soft costs of issuance, etc. So once I've given you the schedule now, you've also understand the kind of the budgets of the project. Luke will tell you how that's going to be financed, about your existing debt and what would be your new debt.
Hello, good evening. Luke Brigman with Stifel, Service Bond Underwriter for the school corporation. This is the same presentation as you all saw a couple weeks ago. In total, between the 4 projects, it would aggregate up to $23.5 million. We'll break down each separate project, and likely within each project, we won't need all of the funds up front. So this is kind of a long-range plan, and some of the bonds would be issued in 25, some would be issued a couple years later. The school and the school board would have that authority to make those decisions. So the first thing that we start with anytime we're looking at taking on new debt is the school corporation's outstanding debt obligations. So you'll see that here from 25 to 26, there's a little bit of drop off in payments. Again, in 27, there's a much larger drop off as some prior debt retires. Again in 28 and again in 2030 as some of the school's prior debt retire. So really that kind of the perfect picture of what we're looking at anytime you're taking on new debt to be able to do this within your current debt payments. This next slide is the school corporation's current debt service levy. It's really just the ask from the debt service fund of the school corporation to the community, and it really is factoring in your payments with also some miscellaneous revenue and some cash on hand. So you'll see that this chart really mimics what was on that prior page. So again, you'll see that kind of the stair step down as prior debt retires. So the first project, Project A, or the Tiger North Campus, would be for a total of $5,735,000. Again, we've separated them into 25 and 28 bonds, knowing that this is going to fluctuate a little bit. But in total, this is $5,735,000. In dark blue would represent the potential 25 bonds, and then lighter blue would be the 2028 portion of the Tiger North project. So in total, what represents this is $5,530,000 for hard and soft project costs for Tiger North, $90,000 for capitalized interest, and then $115,000 for cost of issuance. These are the legal parameters. Last week or 2 weeks ago, there were no parameters or resolutions in front of you, but we did walk through these. Now, afterwards, these numbers will be in the resolutions set forth in front of you tonight. These are maximum parameters. We can always come down from these numbers, but once they are set, we cannot go above them. So the first 3 rows, really what you just saw on the previous page, $5,735,000 for the borrowing, $205,000 for cost of issuance and capitalized interest, leaving $5,530,000 for hard and soft project costs. Estimated interest rate range of 2 to 6%. If you sold bonds today, you'd be about at 4 1/4. The estimated maximum term would be 20 years per issuance. You'll see the interest cost associated there with this project of just over $4 million. A maximum annual payment of $2.5 million. For this specific project, and if you simply divide that by the school corporation's net assessed value, you get a tax rate impact of 0.5592, but that does not factor in any of the debt falling off that we showed on the prior page. And when you factor that in, that's a net tax increase over the 25 debt service levy of 0. And then finally, the couple other ratios that you'll see down at the bottom. There would be the school corporation's max payments as a percentage of your net assessed value is 0.8094, and the direct and overlapping debt as a percentage of your net assessed value of 11.69%. That's taking into account all of the municipalities' debt, so the city, town, county, township, library, school, everyone's property tax debt as a percentage of your net assessed value. And those numbers will be the same for each one of these, so I can go a little quicker through those. The second project would be the elementary project, and this would be highlighted in green there again, kind of split pro rata between the 25 and 28, but a total borrowing here of $7,170,000. Of that $7,170,000, you'll see the breakdown here: 6.91 of hard and soft construction costs, $145,000 for cost of issuance, and $115,000 for capitalized interest. So again, here are the parameters for this project. The first 5 rows there, first 3 were on the previous page, and next 2 were the same as previously. The estimated total interest cost for this one, $5,043,000. Again, the max payment and max tax rate impact is the same as the Tiger North project, and again, the increase over the debt service levy in 25 is 0. So no increase due to this project. And again, the ratios down at the bottom are the same as the first project. Third is the junior senior high project. So this is in red. Again, the pro rata version of the 25 and 28 here is outlined. The estimated cost breakdown of $8,685,000 for hard and soft construction costs, $180,000 for capitalized interest, and again, $145,000 for cost of issuance. So again, that's represented here. Really, everything looks pretty much identical to the prior page. Estimated interest cost is a little bit higher than the previous ones because the borrowing amount for this specific project is slightly higher than what it was before, or the previous project. Lastly is the old junior high project, which you'll see in kind of that royal or light blue there. So this would be for $1,585,000. Again, you'll see here, as we've shown on the parameters page, the goal here is to make sure that we are not increasing the debt service fund levy with these projects. We're able to do that within the current tax for the school corporation, but also want to make sure that we are leaving some capacity in the future, knowing that there are always needs that come up for a school corporation over the next 20 some years. So trying to leave the school with some flexibility in case something does come up. And you'll see that in the drop off in payments in 29 to 2030 there. So ultimately, this represents if everything were approved, it would be a $15 million authorization or issuance in 25 and an $8.5 million issuance in 2028. That would be split up between these 4 separate projects. The cost breakdown for the old junior high school, $1,530,000 for the hard and soft project costs, $30,000 for capitalized interest, and $25,000 for cost of issuance. Again, that's all reflected there. Total interest cost of $1,114,000, a max payment of $1.8 million, and then again, so shown on the previous page, no increase due to these projects, which is shown on this last page here. These last couple ratios are the same as what's been on all of the parameter sheets. So that's all that I have. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. We will now open the public comment section of the hearing. Remember, if you'd like to speak, please sign in on the sheet which is located in front of you right now. As I mentioned earlier, we ask that you state your name, address, limit your comments to proposed projects and financing, and try to keep your comments to 3 minutes if possible. Sheet number, first on the sheet is Kent Gould.
Good evening. These are my personal beliefs that the Roxy purchase would most likely be for the well-being and the greed of some, not the student body, not the public, and not the community. I think the purchase and renovation cost of the Roxy clearly show it doesn't justify buying it. It's too expensive. The Roxy being put up for sale is most likely the timing of the bond renewal, nothing more and nothing less. Probably never would have been put on sale if it hadn't been for the bond timing. Previous theaters improved sat for many years, deteriorating until their values decrease, and then they are sold. It would be highly unlikely that anything or anybody would purchase the Roxy. Is too costly with the renovations. The school most likely thinks there's a chance to get the Roxy only because of its location, and ignoring other factors such as cost and public opinion. We wouldn't even be talking about this if the Roxy was only a city block away from where it currently sits. You want ball field parking. You already have that through a parking arrangement. You want concessions and restrooms. Why don't you schedule that with the Roxy? The Roxy would be glad to sell concessions. Communicate with the Roxy. How could the school be so greedy thinking how it'd have the best looking complex around, a royal empire, best for miles around, like the Westfield when you travel along 31 down by Indy? You're probably thinking we can afford it because we can use this bond money. Bottom line is, I feel the Roxy costs too much and keeps taxes elevated for the public. The public needs a break. Why wouldn't you lower taxes when you have the option? Are you a dictatorship going against public opinion, thinking you know best? It's probably already been decided in your pre-meeting to buy the Roxy, and this is nothing more than a public show. If so, enjoy your empire at the public's expense. Hold your heads high and be proud of what you did. I'd be ashamed. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Gould. Next on the list, Ivy, is it K? Key. Key, okay. Key.
I would like to say that I was very disappointed with the structure and the contents of the previous meeting, and I'm certain others were too. The community had little to no information regarding the school board's projected acquisition of what is currently, and let's be honest here, it will always be known as the Roxy Theater. While members of the community were allowed to speak their piece prior to the meeting, on multiple instances, members of the community were silenced after new information had been divulged to the community. It's what's worse, there was no allowance for the community to ask questions prior to the first round of voting on this issue. I commend this group for putting this opportunity to speak a little bit later this meeting. However, I do fear that, just like last time, more information will be divulged after our opportunity to speak now. Because of that, I understand that this is very much not typical, but I would like to propose that we have a secondary time for us to speak just prior to the vote to make the decision on the purchase of this property. And I expect our elected officials here to share this sentiment with our community. The next point that I have is, correct me if I'm wrong, the presentation that was just shown had very little room for the next 5 years for us to have any room for emergencies, changing our mind for 5 years. Now, I know 5 years in this large scale is not a very long time, but it is long enough for things to change. I ask you, is there room for you to make changes within this group? Or for if there is a change in this group within the next 5 years, if they have the opportunity to make a change themselves, if there is any change to emergencies within the climate of the area. I'm sure that, excuse me. I'm sure also that there are members here that have other points to bring up regarding the safety and anything about the location. But I ask you, is this purchase of the Roxy actually because of sorry, I'm losing my brain for just a second. Give me 1 second. I ask you, is this necessary and safe, or is it just novel and convenient? We understand your decisions are based upon those made by previous elected members. Remember, they are no longer members, and you are. Please instead make your decisions based upon your current community and the elected representatives of the future in mind, lest the mistakes of the past be made into a foundation that forces the future to be unable to grow. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Key. John Benedict.
Hello, my name is John Benedict. I'm a graduate of Peru and a 61-year member of Peru, or resident of Peru. And we're here to decide whether or not to necessarily spend $5.7 million and ultimately $23.5 million. Of the 7 board members, 5 see no problem with spending a fortune for something the superintendent wants, but the Peru district cannot afford. Those words maybe were never heard in Newcastle, where Mr. McCormick came from, but Miami County has a median household income, which is the 17th worst in the state. We can afford a nice new functional pole barn for about 10% of the $5.7 million built on the current junior high property, but that good suggestion fell on deaf ears. For many years, board meetings were held on the 2nd floor of the First Farmers Bank over here at Main and Broadway. Then the school corporation bought this office building. Apparently we were in a growth situation. Now we want, but don't need, another bigger, better building. Well, the First Farmers Bank now sits empty over there due to already too high property taxes. Supposedly the Roxy purchase will not affect our property taxes. A 20-year bond issue will be used. Will somebody please explain to us how using someone else's money will work without hurting the already overburdened taxpayer? We can envy the Carmel, Fishers, Westfield area, but we cannot pretend to be one of them. Local property owners are already struggling to keep up with outrageous tax increases. Board members, I implore you not to treat the money you are entrusted with as your own. voters watch and remember in the next election who was and was not careful with our money. Remember, together, we can all make a difference. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Mr. Benedict. Next is Jason Alfonso.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you, school board, for coming tonight, addressing this issue. Thank you, Mr. Van Valen, for having me to come today to present this matter over this matter. So I'd like to start. Good evening. I'm Jason Alfonso. I'm a resident of Peru for 54 years. I actually volunteer with our community, various organizations as Miami County Helping Hands, Peru Lions Clubs, and the Knights of Columbus of Peru Council 718. All these wonderful organizations contribute to our community by helping these in need, by giving back to our communities, by supporting our youth. I'm here again to speak on opposition of the purchasing of the Roxy Theater and surrounding land that we voiced on, not only these opposition, but for enrichment of Peru's future as youth and growth, paving the way for future generations for the Peru community and also our people that live here. As we pointed at the hearing, we brought up the discussion of charts and graphs displays before us. As we talked about the graphs tonight, many of us could not understand. However, I do believe the purchase about not to consider lightly beyond its $1 million price tag, it just facilitate constructions and renovations. What about the land that is sitting on the history of the land? Has the land been surveyed? That's a key thing in my speech that I want to talk about is the survey. Is the land suitable for more construction? Is the land safe for our youth and free of contamination? There's a lot of contamination I see in this area that we need to fix and fix it right. However, we structure built on the land we're holding up says 20 to 30 years. There are things that we need to be looking at, not just some new office space. The office space, we have so much office space now that we have that need to be used. There's no sense of purchasing more buildings, in my perspective, as long as you're living here for 54 years. Place to watch our kids, grandkids enjoy sports. We need to be thinking of the future. The school board and vote for the Roxy should be our residents and taxpayers have to say this $23 million development, we need to spread it out. Roxy needs to be paid too. These are the questions we need to think about. What amount of money pre-existing properties of Peru community schools already own? We can instead investigate other investments not only to save the Peru schools over $1 million from not purchasing the Roxy, but also our options open. Wabash very own Heartland Center partners with 9 surrounding high schools. I don't know if you guys knew that. We serve 9 schools. That's a lot of schools, including Peru High School, teaching our youth skills and more. Why hasn't Peru invested in our vocational school? If Peru community schools can afford a new built movie theater with multiple screens for offices space, but repair the parking that Peru community schools can afford, invest in future in education youth, and therefore thinking of richer communities more than other ones besides our community. I focus on not to be our future. Let's face it, these class sizes are not growing, and the birth rates are declining. More and born raised in Peru choosing moved out away from Peru. Sure, we have moving to Peru, but it's not fair for Peru as the jobs are not there. We need to act now. Everything we can make Peru's future brighter. We need to encourage people to continue growing the roots here and pave the way. We need to encourage people that the Roxy and growing Peru Tiger North Campus for sports, office, maintenance, parking, not due to people of Peru, but bring jobs and education to our community. I do hope our school board, before us choose to vote for the favor, who voted in such important positions, do not let us down. Vote for youth generations, well, after ours, vote to Peru future in very hands. God bless you. Have a good evening.
Thank you, Mr. Alfonso.
Thank you.
Last, Dave Van Balen.
I'm Dave Van Balen, and I'm here to represent the owners, the investors, of the Roxy 5 LLC. It's a sad day for us. And anytime a business closes, it's emotional, it's personal, it's painful. As the owners, it's the most painful because we get caught holding whatever debt's left, we get caught holding the bag. The Roxy was my idea. 14, 15 years ago, we had a vision and a dream. The local theater had closed. We thought that a theater here would do great things for our community. We knew that the debt was going to be a big burden. You know, building a theater that's multi-million dollars in a community our size is a huge challenge. And it was a challenge from day one. But along the way, we felt like we could survive. Well, then came COVID. Over 50% of theaters in America closed during COVID. The 50% that survived, many of those have closed since. After COVID, there was a Writers Guild strike. No content for 2 years. So again, we just got hit with COVID. People didn't want to come back in the public. We get a Writers Guild strike with no new movies, and it was a death blow. About 2 years ago, the owners of the Roxy met in a crisis meeting. We aren't going to survive. What do we do now? And as a managing member, it's my job to try to find a golden parachute or find an exit strategy. So I asked them if we could continue to try to keep it open while we found an exit strategy, because I didn't want to close it during the time. We should have probably closed 2 years ago. Many of the owners voted to close 2 years ago. Through some creative financing and bringing on more debt, we have survived. But after that meeting, I immediately began looking for an exit strategy. And the first place you go in real estate when you want to sell real estate is to your neighbor, the adjoining property owners. That happens to be you. And so I approached the school about 2 years ago, about 3 or 4 superintendents ago, many board members ago. And we've been having this conversation. Is the school interested? Is it something the school would be wanting to take on? Because you are our neighbors and you surround us completely. The other options that realtors expressed to me were trucking companies, light manufacturing companies, some kind of a light industry. I'm a Peru guy. I graduated from Peru High School too. My kids went to Peru High School. The idea of an industry sitting in the middle of your sports complex did not sound very appetizing to me. And once it's there forever. You will never have that opportunity again. So I believed personally that the best option was for Peru Community Schools to develop that property. There are two distinct different things going on here, and they seem to be getting crossed. The Roxy has failed. The Roxy as a theater is going out of business. The property now needs to be sold. Now, I could have closed it 2 years ago, and we could look at an empty building there for the last 2 years, and we'd be sitting here talking about an empty building. But because of us taking on more debt and extending that, it makes it look like the Roxy is still viable. It is not. There is no long-term salvageable plan to keep the Roxy Theater alive. The debt's too much. The revenues are too low. I'm going to do business 101. If your revenues don't exceed your expenses, you're out of business. That's us. There are days in the Roxy Theater when we have a good run. We have a good movie. They're called tent poles. Good movie, back down we go. Good movie, back down we go. In the fall, we starve. Immediately after Christmas, we starve. Those tent poles aren't as tall as they used to be. The theater business has changed. Streaming has changed us. So as the tent poles get smaller, the starvation is longer. It's a dying entity. Unfortunately, I believe movie theaters in the entire country are dying entities. They're blockbusters. Whoever dreamed there'd be no blockbusters anymore? That's where they're headed. So here we are with what is going to be an empty piece of real estate. And my very first option, my belief is the best option is Peru Community Schools to develop the property and own the entire area. As opposed to me going and finding a realtor, which I can do, and find an industry, which I can do. I'm a developer. This is what I do. And forever, they'll put a fence around that property, and you'll have no access to it, and it's going to be a light industry of some kind. Because that's what that building is conducive for. It's 15,000 square foot with high ceilings. It's on 4 acres with a big parking lot. Trust me, nobody is in more agony over this decision than me. This was my baby, all right? And of all the businesses I've opened and maintained, this was my first loss. I couldn't save this one. We did everything creatively we could. You can clean it, you can change your staff, you can change your prices, but if the content of the movies doesn't bring people in the doors, there's nothing I can do. And Roxy has fantastic staff. It's exceptionally clean. Our prices are the same as when we opened. Those aren't the reasons we're failing, all right? The world has changed. People don't go to the movies like they used to. That's the bottom line. So I've heard a lot of emotional outreach to all of you. And I'm here to tell you that the Roxy Theater as a business is closing. And I'm here to ask you if you're interested in buying the real estate. Two totally different things. Okay? I don't have anything else.
Thank you, Mr. Van Balen. Would anyone else like to speak? Hearing no one else, thank you to all who participated in the hearing. We appreciate your time and interest in the project and the future of our community. Please note that the board will continue to work with the administration and its professionals to look for efficiencies to conserve tax dollars while meeting our educational needs. Okay, moving on, Mr. McCormick, could you please summarize the project resolution for each project?
Thank you, Mr. Beatty. Each project resolution is required when the school is planning to finance more than $1 million on a given facility or type of work. Each project resolution contains the estimated hard and soft construction costs and the costs of issuance, and establishes the total project cost. Each project resolution also contains the estimated tax impact. And each of these are in your packets, the various appendices for your reference as you move forward.
So we are ready for that. Yes, okay. At this time, could I have a motion and a second to adopt the Tiger North Campus project resolution? I would entertain a motion now.
So moved.
Thank you, Mr. Hoover. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Dr. Pennington. Any discussion?
I have a comment, I suppose.
Okay.
My opposition to this vote is not due to the closing of the Roxy Theater. PCS holds no weight on that decision. However, I cannot look past my constituents being taxed $5.735 million that could be used in our current buildings, as well as to modify the old junior high property to meet existing and future needs, a property we already own and know is buildable upon. Knowing $5.735 million of my constituents' tax dollars could have gone into the other building projects, or not spent it all to give my constituents a break, I cannot diligently vote for the other projects as presented either.
Thank you, Ms. Justice. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 opposed. 5-2, motion passes. Mr. McCormick, could you please, or we're not doing that, right?
Yeah.
So you're going to read the preliminary resolution for the next one. Go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Beatty. Preliminary determination resolution for each project. Each preliminary determination resolution is required when a school corporation is planning to finance more than a certain threshold amount for a given facility, or when a school corporation has a certain debt service tax rate. Each preliminary determination resolution contains the total project cost, maximum annual payment and lease term, and other financial terms such as the estimated principal amount and tax impact.
Thank you, Mr. McCormick. Could I have a motion to adopt the preliminary determination resolution for the Tiger North Campus project? I will entertain that motion now.
So moved.
Thank you, Dr. Pennington. Do I have a second?
Second.
Mr. Fuller. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5 opposed. 5-2, motion passes. Next, could I have a motion and a second to adopt the elementary project resolution? I will entertain that motion now.
So moved.
Thank you, Mr. Ellis. Second,
Second.
Mr. Hoover. Any discussion on that? Hearing none, all those in favor? 5 opposed? 5-2, motion passes. Thank you. Next, could I have a motion to adopt the preliminary determination resolution for the elementary project? I will entertain a motion for that now.
So moved.
Thank you, Dr. Pennington. Second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Hoover. Any discussion? All those in favor? 5 opposed? 5-2, motion passes. Thank you. Next, could I have a motion and a second to adopt the junior senior high school project resolution? I'll take that motion now.
So moved.
Thank you, Mr. Hoover. Second?
Second.
Thank you, Dr. Pennington. Any discussion? Questions? All those in favor? Opposed? Motion passes 5-2. Can I have a motion and a second to adopt the preliminary determination resolution for the junior senior high school project? I will entertain that motion now.
So moved.
Thank you, Mr. Ellis. Second.
Second.
Thank you, Dr. Pennington. Any other discussion, questions? All those in favor? Opposed? Motion passes 5-2. Next, could I have a motion and a second to adopt the Peru Junior High School Project Resolution?
So moved.
Thank you, Mr. Fuller. Second.
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Ellis. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor? Opposed? It's 5-2, motion passes. Next, could I have a motion to adopt the preliminary determination resolution for the Peru Junior High School project?
So moved.
Thank you, Dr. Pennington.
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Hoover. Any discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? Motion passes 5-2. So next is that. Mr. McCormick, could you please summarize the reimbursement resolution?
The next resolution is a reimbursement resolution relating to the financing of the construction projects. This resolution permits the school corporation to reimburse itself from bond proceeds for any cash which it might spend on the projects prior to the closing on the bonds. It is required by federal tax law in order to preserve the school corporation's ability to reimburse itself. And I would also, if Ice Miller or Stiefel, do you have anything to add to that?
Nope, this is a opportunity under federal tax law. I'm sorry, Lauren Seiler from Ice Miller Bond Counsel. This is an opportunity under federal tax law to preserve the school corporation's ability to reimburse itself if any dollars are spent out of the operations fund or rainy day fund prior to closing on the bonds. It is not an obligation to do so. It is simply preserving the opportunity if the board and the administration choose to do so in the future.
Thank you.
Okay, I would entertain a motion to adopt the reimbursement resolution.
So moved.
Is that Ms. Justice?
Yeah.
That you?
Yes.
Thank you. Second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Ellis. Any discussion? All those in favor? It is unanimous. Thank you. That's right, Andrew. Yep. All right, that will conclude the hearing for this evening. Give me a couple minutes to regroup and we will start the public session. Thank you all.
Takes me back.
10 minutes. 10 minutes. Just a couple minutes. If anybody needs to get up and use the restroom or anything, I'm gonna give you a couple minutes before we start. We're gonna go ahead and get started with our public session. We'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance. Please stand. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. At this time, I would entertain a motion to accept the agenda.
So moved.
Thank you, Ms. Justice. Second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Ellis. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor? It is unanimous. I will also entertain a motion to approve the minutes as presented.
I would move to approve the minutes with one change to item 2H. It reads 501, the vote count should be 601.
Okay. So we have a motion to accept the minutes with the changes. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Ellis. Any discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? Abstained?
I approve.
Okay. It is unanimous. Thank you.
A little late.
That's okay. At this time, we'll accept the public comment. I have two on the list tonight. First one is George Morris. Mr. Morris?
All right, so for those of you that don't know me, I'm George Morris. Lived here in Peru, Indiana my entire life. Come from a long line of Zimmermans and Honorts and Corrells. And, something happened last school year with my granddaughter. I know most of you probably already know the whole story, but my grandparents went here to Peru schools. My parents did, I did, my kids. When this happened with my granddaughter, it's an assault incident that happened on school grounds. Myself and others kind of put our money where our mouth is, so to speak, and we involved billboards and protests and social media and marketing and attorneys, news reporters, you name it. But I've been reflecting, I've been doing a whole lot of praying about this, and I just couldn't understand why, we're not seeing any change, why, like when's the change going to come? I thought maybe the school board thinks that because I have this lawsuit against you, that any action you take would be an admission of guilt somehow. But, I think we need to put what's right for the students and our community first. If you're worried more about the appearance of the school than you are about doing the right thing for our students and our community, then you don't need to be in these chairs. You don't need to be in your position. All the things that we've been doing up to this point, obviously nobody in their right mind would take joy in doing it. I don't want to be doing it. But I'm going to run for school board. If you guys aren't going to put together this complaint oversight committee, or you guys aren't going to resign, then again, I don't have a choice. I'm the kind of person I got to do what I think is right. So I'm going to run for school board, and I'm going to get other people to run with me. And next election, a lot of these seats will be changed. And that's not to say anything negatively about a couple of the good board members that we do have sitting here. Peru Schools has a lot of good people, has a lot of good teachers. Definitely this community, I've lived here my whole life. I love it here. All the people I love is here. We'll have another long year of billboards, protests, and marketing and social media, and I don't want to. We really do need this complaint oversight committee, this bullying and neglect complaint oversight committee. I don't think we're asking that much. You guys are talking about all this money on the Roxy. Well, this will cost you next to nothing to do, and it will be good for the students. I want to end with this. I'm a true follower of Jesus, and I know that schools aren't, everybody knows that schools aren't really a place of worship. We don't expect it to be treated as such, but our kids, our grandkids, they are precious to us. And we're not going to stand for letting bad things happen like what happened with my granddaughter. I ask anybody here, if you are a follower of Jesus, pray. Ask yourself, search your heart. I don't care if you're a principal. I don't care if you don't like me. Ask yourself if what I'm asking, if what we're asking for as a group, as families, as parents, as grandparents, it's not a bad thing. It can only good can come of it. So pray about it. Ask yourself, search yourself. Last school year there was a different superintendent here. This superintendent, I don't want to mention any names, but this superintendent treated me really well. I ain't gonna lie, she treated me great. I got along great with her. We worked well together. But it came to my attention that she wasn't treating the people that I loved with respect, and I saw people that I loved crying. Real tears right here in this office. And I wasn't worried about my paycheck. I stood up to her. I went to the school board. Some of you were here last year. You know I did. I went to you. I stood up to her. I don't regret that. I love the people that are in this community, and I'll do what's right. And I just want everyone else, teachers, principals, board members, do what's right. Don't worry about the paycheck or the pride. I don't want to be doing all this.
Thank you, Mr. Morris. Bridget Richardson.
I'm actually going to take a different approach to this, different than what I have been. I am going to read off some statistics, which you guys also have. Suicide is the third leading cause of death in youth, 4,400 to be exact, per year. 14% of high schoolers have attempted suicide at one point in their life. Bullying victims are 2 to 9 times more likely to commit suicide. Now I'd like to ask everyone to please close their eyes. I'm actually going to take you down in my shoes, what I've lived. The phone rings. Hi, is this Brandy Richardson's mom? Yes, it is. I regret to inform you that your daughter didn't make it. I'm sorry for your loss. Now, imagine if that was your child. Everyone thinks that this will never happen to their family, but it happened to mine. Because my sister was bullied from the age of 13 to 25 when she took her own life by overdose. Now let me ask you all, what is more important, a new building or fixing the problem of bullying and or neglect? Personally, I would rather fix the problem and still the oversight committee, because you never know if you could be next or somebody in your family. So I'm asking you all, would you want that type of blood on your hands? This is our future and could be your future boss. Put that in perspective.
Thank you, Ms. Richardson. Now moving on to program. Mr. McCormick.
Thank you, Mr. Beatty. Under program item letter A, 2025-26 student handbook, there's an update. Mr. Polk, do you want to give us a brief update on those changes that we're seeking the board's consideration and approval of, please?
Thank you, Mr. McCormick, board. Nice to see you. Usually it's just one time during the year. The assistant principals and myself, just in looking at the current handbook, we felt that there was a couple things missing. One thing is the reporting of possible bullying situations as per the board policy. I added in the process for reporting, whether it be a student, a parent, or another student. That is on page 38 of the packet that I sent out. And that is just word for word from board policy under the bullying section. Questions on that? And then in talking and going over it with Mr. Martin, he caught something that we felt that we probably needed in the student handbook from the board policy as well. It is on page 44, the seclusion and restraint. And it just states that we will not, these children will not be subject to seclusion and restraint unless the student's behavior poses imminent risk of injury to the student or others. However, significant violations of the law, including assaults on the student, staff will be reported to the police as soon as possible. After any use of seclusion or restraint, the student's parent or guardian will be informed and provided with a detailed account of the incident, including the circumstances that led to the use of seclusion or restraint. So just in the handbook clarifying that for parents. So that's all I've got with the discipline aspects. So.
Any questions for Mr. Polk on those changes, modifications? Thank you, Mr. Polk.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. President.
And with the handbook as well, the changes, Mrs. Smith she was going to speak on the changes to the attendance policies.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so on 24, the first change, we just wanted to add in this little blurb. If everybody doesn't know, Indiana passed some new bills regarding attendance laws, and I really wanted to go through here and make some of those changes that were required to be made, but also clarify process, interventions, and stuff like that. If you go to the next page on 25, a lot of the IC codes just had some updated definitions. So on 2033-218 on page 25, we just, the red is wanting to take out the blurb that we had in there. Oh,
They
it's not.
probably have it, but I don't know, I think I have it on here, they have it.
Which one on yours? And you left me.
You copy that?
That's the same one I have.
Yeah, they have it. It's just
Yeah, we
on there.
have it.
Oh, it's just not on there, okay.
They didn't copy it back for some reason.
Okay, so I'll read it for everybody else. This code is parent to produce a certificate of child's incapacity on demand. So basically, if a parent of a student does not send the student to school because of the student's illness or mental or physical incapacity, it is unlawful for the parent to fail or refuse to produce a certificate of the illness or incapacity for an attendance officer not later than 6 days after it's asked. So ideally, we would be in communication, parent would be in communication with somebody, where we would say, hey, we just need this documentation. We would need to get that within 6 days from you. On 26, the top portion there, compulsory attendance exceptions, physical or mental fitness. I added this in here, thought it would be something helpful. It was not in the previous handbook, but to really clarify if there's a doctor or physician or child's getting mental health services, that we get that documentation from them, excusing them for those reasons. The bottom of this page, the exceptions that Indiana law has added a new one. So these are all exceptions to any excused attendance reasons that the state requires us to have to approve for. Approved for an educationally related non-classroom activity. So that's if there's a trip and the student is getting some sort of education, but it's not in the physical classroom. And that is by state law. The next page. So for attendance, I came in a little late to the game last school year, but with some feedback and some things, I think that with some clarifications, this might help. So on page...
I don't think it copied the backs, Mackenzie, so
No.
when I go to the backs, they have them, it's just not gonna be up there.
Okay. There's a clarification. So there hasn't been anything set in the handbook for set hours or time aside from the junior, senior high school for how many hours the students at the school physically present to count them present. So we kind of just made it clear in there that it is 4 hours per day. Because we don't do half days or anything, that will kind of help give that idea of, okay, we were here, your kid came to school, left at 1 o'clock, they were still present for the day. They were there half of it. The
next one that you guys have, the excused absences. So it just explains personal illness with parent notification up to 5 days. So we're really hoping to really increase that communication with families when a child is ill or out of school. We're getting those phone calls, and the first 5 that you get, it's pretty much like here, thank you for letting us know. After that, we need that proof, the documentation. This page, so this is something added. There wasn't anything really clear or set for the death in immediate family or relative, so we put 3 days. There's exceptions, there's understanding, being generous. Just putting something kind of concrete in there to have families understand, okay, I lost my mom. I get 3 days, okay, well, they call in, hey, still not doing well. Okay, keep the communication up and things will be good. So the next one was just adding in that word with what's given with the state law. I don't know what page you guys have. 28. What's this one? 28. So you don't have 20. Okay, 28. So this is just the new updated definition on the Indiana state law bill for exempt absences. I just put this, it's new definition. That's all it is, nothing different with that. The page that you guys have that's not on here for D, unexcused absences. So repeated instances of unexcused absences may result in disciplinary action up to suspension or expulsion of a client or student. Updated state law now, so they're really wanting us to focus on the intervention side of things with families and work on it, and not so much the disciplinary. So this is at least effective until 2026 according to the new bill.
I was gonna say if this is deleted, it's the red.
It's deleted. Yes, the red's deleted. Yeah, sorry. On C, so everything that was listed here, the procedures for unexcused absences in the previous handbook was broken down differently per school. I'm wanting to take all of that out and rewrote a new section that's the same across all schools in the district. So all of that red is just out and everything will be included in the truancy prevention section. Page 32 is up at the top of there. Yes. So a student in kindergarten through 12th grade for 5 days within a 10-week period. This was in effect last year, but it was just 12th through 6th grade. This year the bill moved it up to 12th grade. So what it's saying, I just changed the grade that it needs to be, and if you guys aren't familiar, it's within a 10-week period. The state is saying if your child has missed 5 days, we just need to have some sort of a conference meeting just to kind of see what's going on, type of a thing. At the bottom of that page, the bill also updated to it was pretty strict prior that we were to have a conference meeting with families within 5 days of fifth absence. They upped it to 10 days. So that's that change. On page 34, that section is, that's what Pat did. So on 34, okay. On 34 that you guys have, I basically made a chart. If you guys don't have that, okay. So it's basically just a clear written out procedure for what we will follow for absences and truancy. So on here we broke it down by 5 day, 8 day, 10, 13, and 14. So at the 5 days, we're going to do that conference meeting that we're required to have with the family within a 10-week period. 8 days, we'll be sending a letter home. So the letters have been getting sent out. This year we're going to do an 8-day, just to kind of give a heads up to the family, like, hey, your child's 2 days away from reaching habitual truancy status. So that's at 10 days. And that's for the year, not within any week period. At 10 days of being absent in the school year, we will attempt to reach with the family to have another conference meeting, really kind of determine an intervention plan, see kind of what the cause is, what we can do to help. Again, more intervention, less punitive stance. 13 days. So at 13 days, we would refer things over to the prosecutor's office. I've been working with the prosecutor, and he has been very open with, you know, kind of what to do with educational neglect, because that's when things would be going that way. At that point, you may be sent over. He'll hand it from there, whether he wants to just have a meeting with the family or take other action. That's up to them. And then 14 plus days would be just continuous monitoring and meeting with the family. So at that point, if there is something consistent, then the goal would be to have those meetings frequently with the families and the student, and try and see what we can do to kind of keep things to help the student be more successful at school and what's already there. And then I think on page 40, thank you. On page 44, within the disciplinary section of the handbook, there's a section for truancy and habitual truancy. I'm wanting to take those out so that we can really just kind of follow that intervention procedure for the truancy prevention guidance. So that I'm wanting to just take out and just follow the guidelines that we have set for the meetings, the letters, and then following through and utilizing other community resources. And that's it.
Are you sure?
Questions?
Any questions from you, Smith?
This will take effect this school year.
This school year, it actually took effect, a lot of these July 1st. So we tried to get as much information as we could with the prosecutor and other people to make sure that we had what we had right and what's out there. So yes, it will be effect for this year.
Okay. So many of these are state law.
Yes.
But they're not all state law.
All are state
All
law
your
except
changes.
the intervention process. Except it is required with the 5-day or the meetings with 5 days and 10 weeks.
Right.
So, Liza, mostly stuff I've seen in the news is mostly just for reporting for the state.
Yeah.
Besides it's that prosecutor, nothing really, I don't know, train of thought, nothing like suspension, stuff like that type of thing, punishment, I would say.
Yeah.
Of course, DCS I know has different laws they go through as well, so those are different.
Now, obviously, like if there's other things, I can reach out to them if needed. We feel it's suspected. At that 10-day mark, we were doing the referrals for DCS or probation, depending on what it would really fall through. And that's, you know, as needed. So, yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Okay, hearing all those changes, I would entertain a motion to accept those as presented.
So,
thank you, Mr. Ellis. Second.
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Fuller. Any discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? And abstained? 6-0-1, motion passes. Thank you. Next up is the Industrial Technology Program. Mr. Pointer, you got that one?
Thank you, Mr. Beatty. You have in your packet an email from Jim Tidd from Makita. And Makita, their board voted to support a $14,000 donation to purchase equipment for our industrial technology program. So that's a good thing, great thing, and it's just here for your consideration to approve accepting that donation.
This time I'll entertain a motion to accept the recommendation.
So moved.
Thank you, Mr. Ellis. Second.
Second.
Your choice. Any discussion? All those in favor? It is unanimous. Thank you. Next up, we have Waterford Early Learning quote. Mr. McCormick?
This is a quote for Waterford Early Learning that Elmwood uses and will use for the 25-26 school year for $5,170. Mrs. Eddy, do you have any narrative on that? Or Mrs. Shirley?
Take a little backup, sorry. Take a little backup. Just that this had been something that our kindergarten teachers have been devoted to for a very long time. This was something that had been, in my understanding, and I'm looking at my tech friends here on the side, there was actually an opportunity to have this placed on our own server for quite a long time, which incurred no cost, but therefore it sat, if you will, and doesn't allow updates. So we are, with our changes in technology, asking that we go to the updated current version, which affords this cost.
Thank you.
Is that an annual cost?
That I'm not, yes, well, there's Mrs. Shirk, here comes Mrs. Shirk to help us through that.
Yeah, there is an initial setup fee because it is a subscription service, and then an annual fee that would not be as large as the current annual fee. They actually, in order to continue utilizing their services, we talked them down to reducing their price by 70%. And that would be applicable in the future. Since they've been using it for decades, it has been something that has really benefited the Elmwood Reading Program. However, Mrs. Eddy and I have discussed, we would like to renew it this year. We know if we do continue to renew in the future, that it would be less than that $5,000, but also the kindergarten team would be looking to see if there's other resources and some of our new pieces that we wouldn't have to pay for that could, in theory, replace it in the future.
So data will be collected, and we will be looking into our Wonders Reading Program to see if we aren't crossing lines that we could afford to not cross.
Thank you, Ms. Shirk.
Thank you. Thank you.
I would entertain a motion to accept the recommendation as presented.
So moved.
Thank you, Mr. Hoover. Second.
Second.
Thank you, Ms. Justice. Any discussion? All those in favor? It is unanimous. Thank you. Youth leadership.
In response to a new computer foundations course required by the state, Mrs. Shurik has brought forward for your consideration an online course through 220 Youth Leadership, and that is on your agenda for consideration to approve.
I would entertain a motion to accept that recommendation as presented.
I move to accept the required recommendation.
Thank you, Ms. Justice. Second.
Second.
Thank you, Dr. Quinn. Any discussion? All those in favor? It is unanimous. Thank you very much. Moving along. Head Start MOU, Mr. McCormick.
Pretty standard MOU, an annual MOU with Kokomo Head Start. They will again have 3 sections or 3 classrooms at South Peru. And so again, that memorandum of understanding is there for your consideration and hopeful approval.
Are there any changes from the previous?
No.
The costs that we're using for in-kind, is that pretty much the same as what it was last year?
Ms. Enyart?
Do what?
The costs on the MOU, the
For
in-kind?
classrooms and
That's required for their grant.
I know. Is it the same as last year? That's my
Yes.
question.
Yes.
We haven't changed our fee schedule.
No.
Thank you.
No. Since that's pretty.
Do I hear a
Motion
motion
to accept the MOU as presented.
Thank you, Dr. Quinn. Second.
Second.
Thank you, Ms. Justice. Any more discussion? All those in favor? It is unanimous, thank you. Next up, the Ivy Tech MOU.
Again, an annual MOU with Ivy Tech. We would ask for your approval on between Peru Community Schools and Ivy Tech for dual credit classes for the upcoming school year.
And again, other than the addendum at the end, is it pretty much the same as the previous? No other changes?
Mrs. Shurig, are you aware of any changes with our MOU with Ivy Tech?
No, there may be one or two courses that have switched that we offer every other year, but no major changes.
Thank you.
I will entertain a motion to accept the MOU. Thank you, Ms. Justice. Second. Thank you, Dr. Quinn. Any other discussion? All those in favor? It is unanimous. Thank you. Next up, St. John's Lutheran Daycare. This is for meals, right?
Yes. The Child and Adult Care Food Program, CACFP. This is an agreement with St. John's Lutheran Daycare. As we do each year, it's an agreement that Peru Community Schools will provide food service to them. The price will increase by 50 cents per meal to $3.50 from last year to this year, and that is billed monthly.
Make a motion to accept that. And I have a question. Is that the only one we have now? I mean, we used to have
Correct.
2 or 3.
This
That's
is
the
the
only
only
one.
daycare that we're operating with right now.
Thank you.
Any other discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? I'm going to abstain from that. Motion passes. Neola Supplemental Addendum Agreement.
In conjunction with our policy work, we are behind with administrative guidelines. And this is an agreement with Neola to use Mr. Snoddy, Ryan Snoddy, their rep, and their resources to work with us in bringing our set of administrative guidelines up to speed. Mrs. Sheets and I will work with them in doing so. And you can see their fee structure. All of these fees aren't going to apply. I'm thinking this will probably be like a $2,000 to $3,000 in the end type of a thing. It's going to take some time. It'll probably take a year or two to complete this project, but I know that the fee structure is open-ended here because it's basically paying them by the hour. We don't know how many hours it will take, but I've talked to Mr. Snoddy, and I think it'll be a couple $1,000s in the end.
Thank you, Mr. McCormick. I'll entertain a motion to accept the recommendation as presented.
So moved.
Thank you, Mr. Hoover. Second.
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Fuller. Any other discussion or any discussion?
So this, I presume, is an increase in cost from what we have been paying, looking at how this is written, this agreement? It's a supplemental addendum. So it's added.
It is. Administrative guidelines are in addition to policy work. We would not have to do it, the administrative guideline work, but it's best practice to do so.
We used to do an awful lot of policy work with them. Do you know what our cost has been in the past to Neola?
Ms. Enier,
I'll get back on that for you.
I'll have to get that information for you.
And then are there other vendors that we've looked at that do the same business?
There are other vendors that do policy work. We just have used Neola for quite some time here.
Probably good to be consistent with all of the handbooks and rules.
No, this is
and-
new. This is administrative guidelines.
Right, but the Neola we've used in the past for the other guidelines and for the
Yes, we
teachers
have.
and everything, so.
That's school policy, actually.
Any other discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? 6-1 motion passes. Next up, operations and technology facility use request. Mr. McCormick.
I think this is a standard annual request of Miami County Winter Banner Reception Program to use the auditorium commons on November 17th. They request that the fees be waived, which I believe we've granted that based on their usage and the nature of their organization. But that is there for your consideration for approval.
I will entertain a motion to accept the request as presented.
So,
thank you, Mr. Ellis. Second.
second.
Thank you, Mr. Fuller. Any other discussion?
So we usually waive the rental fees. There's usually a custodial fee. Is this all fees now? or-
No.
All the custodial
No,
fees,
just-
they'll be working anyways.
Yeah, just facility fee. I mean, we won't lose money on it. If there needs to be custodial fees, we'll charge that.
Okay.
Any other discussion? All those in favor? It is unanimous. Thank you. Under personnel, resignations, retirement, suspension, terminations, transfers, Brianna Meeks is resigning from Blair Point, instructional aide effective 7/8. Mrs. Hall transferred to accounts payroll compliance officer at 26 per hour. Alexis Myers transferred to CDL bus driver, passed her CDL exam on the 14th of this month. And then DeLorean Moore, resignation as junior high cheer coach effective June 9th. I will entertain a motion to accept those as presented.
So moved.
Thank you, Ms. Justice, second.
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Hoover. Any discussion?
Again, I don't understand how people resign on the day they're quitting. Usually there's a 2-week notice. And I don't understand how we're receiving letters of resignation 6 weeks after they've been dated. Poor policy.
It's standard practice, Dr. Quinn, and we received
It's
legal.
not standard practice, Mr. McCormick.
Yes, it is.
No, it isn't.
We received legal counsel, and if any other boards.
We did.
You don't normally give somebody a resignation 6 weeks after you've resigned.
We did
That's not
receive
normal.
legal counsel concerning this, though, that
Well, but it
said
does,
that
the
it's,
legal counsel is not the same as what I'm saying about this, so.
And there also is no law, and we have to get 2 weeks notice. We don't get that a lot of times as well. Any other discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? And abstained. 601, motion passes. Recommendation for classified positions. Looks like we just have one, Christine Bakhorn, Elmwood Special Education Preschool Aide, starting the 25-26 school year. I will entertain a motion to accept that as presented.
So moved.
Thank you, Mr. Hoover. Second.
second,
Thank you, Dr. Pennington. Any discussion? All those in favor? It is unanimous. Thank you. Recommendation for extracurricular positions. You see all those listed there. I would entertain a motion to accept those all at one time unless someone has one they would like to pull out and do separately.
I do have a question.
Okay.
3, 4, and 5, head coach, it doesn't say of what, and I don't understand the 64 and 36% of pay. That's never been presented before.
Ms. Inyard, do you know?
Those are football coaches. I do know that.
Yeah, it doesn't say football. That's what I'm saying. It doesn't say what it is. It just says head coach.
Just answering your question.
Yeah,
and one would be a head coach and one would be an assistant.
Yeah.
So the head coach
What's
is
the
gonna
pay
make
like?
64%, the assistant is gonna make 36%.
Of the coaching pay total.
Correct.
Kind of a confusing way to present it, but
It says head coach 64
of what?
of pay.
No,
Head coach
of what?
64% of the pay.
No, head coach of what?
Well, we answered that,
Well, I
but you
know.
were
Football.
questioning the
My fault. I
percentages.
missed the football part.
So-
I take responsibility for that. I missed that part on there. It's football, elementary football.
I would entertain a motion to accept those as presented.
So moved.
Thank you, Mr. Hoover. Second.
I think I have one more question though. We've got 64% and then we've got 36 and 36, so the math is not.
They're
Do
different
we have a
grades,
math
so it's
problem
64
there?
and 36 for 3rd and 4th, and then the 5th and 6th, that's an assistant position.
So they already have the head coach?
Yes. So are we upping the amount we pay the coaches, like the regular amount we pay then?
I think
There's
everybody will help
36% more?
In the master contract, we have all the ECA positions listed. They're taking the 3rd and 4th grade elementary football coach position, and they're splitting it. And of that one position, 64% of that pay will go to the head coach, and 36% of that pay will go to an assistant coach. So rather than the kids getting one coach, they're splitting a position into two by giving them a different percentage of the same position.
So the 36% is being split between the two assistant coaches.
Between 3 and 4 is split, looks like, and number 5. So who's the head coach for 5th and 6th?
I do not know who that head is.
So that person's splitting.
Travis. Okay.
So he's splitting with Adam Sheets then.
So the 3rd and 4th grade head and assistant coach are splitting one position, and then the 5th and 6th head and assistant is splitting a second position. That's, if you add the 64 and the 36, that equals the 100% of that one position in the master contract. Does that help?
Yes, it does.
All right.
Thank you, Tara.
I have a motion on the table. I need a second.
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Fuller. Any other discussion? All those in favor? It is unanimous. Thank you. Recommendation for sub custodian nurse bus driver positions. We have one on there, Mr. Holderman. I would entertain a motion to accept Mr. Holderman.
Motion to accept.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Quinn. Thank you, Brittany, Miss Justice.
He couldn't stay away. Jack couldn't stay away.
He couldn't stay away. We all knew that was gonna happen. Any discussion or questions? All those in favor? It is unanimous. Claims, Ms. Inger?
Were there any questions regarding claims?
I have a couple.
Okay.
On page 14. The Crow auditors, I don't quite understand that.
So every other year, we are required to have an SBOA audit. And we were assigned an outside source this year, Crow Auditors. That was not our choice.
Gotcha.
And this is their bill that we were given and is paid out of operations.
Now, I will share on that note, there is much consternation across the state to the point of, like, there are email threads, and jump in, Ms. Inyart, across the state, school districts audit fees, it used to be DOE did it for, a few $1,000s or whatever. And people are paying upwards of, it's all different, $40,000, $70,000.
That's just $3,000, and it comes out of our taxes that we're not getting. So.
I know. I mean, it is becoming astronomical, and you don't have a choice. You're told you will be using this company, and they will. And the districts are doing most of the work. Like, a lot of it's virtual. We have to go down, get the files, or call them up, email them. And getting paid, I mean, we're getting invoiced a lot of money, and a lot of people are scratching their head, and it's reaching a level of, kind of what you're insinuating, and we're feeling, it's like, why are we paying all of this money? It's just like a forced fee, and we have no say-so. So.
Page 25. Liberty Mutual Insurance, is that our police department policy along with maintenance vehicles, or what?
That is our overarching monthly insurance payment right now for everything.
Okay. That's a monthly payment?
Yes, sir.
And then Marion Chronicle Tribune, are we now having to advertise with them?
Oh, that's just the new name of
Cause it's in here also Peru Tribune. Later. I was just curious if that was a new name, but then it's in here again someplace else. It says Peru Tribune, so I was hoping we're not having them advertise and
I think
Marion.
we had one go through them instead of Peru. That was the one that it was advertised in the Marion instead of Peru. So it was still one paper advertised, we were still good. It just went through them instead of Peru, plain dealer.
I know there's been some change. You don't have to advertise in the paper anymore, but you do have to advertise on your website or something. So that's why I was curious as to why we
This was
went
for the
there.
bonds, which we had to do through the paper on the bonds. That was Ice Miller's directive.
Any other questions? I will entertain a motion to accept the claims as presented.
So moved.
Thank you, Ms. Justice, second.
Second.
Mr. Ellis. Any other discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? Abstained? 601. Motion passes. Fund monitoring report, you're up again, Ms. Singer.
All right. For the education fund, I just want to point out, we've collected almost 60% of our budget for the year. Reason why is we had to, in January, transfer that textbook fund for the state of Indiana to the education fund. So it kind of superinflated a little bit of our collection, but we are still right where we should be in those regards. And we have dispersed, also because of that textbook fund, just over 51% of our education budget. But that is because we've been buying curriculum out of that textbook rental fund, which is considered a separate pot within education fund, which we are keeping track of. But that's the reason why education fund looks a little off right now is because of that. But we are right where we should be for mid-year, just that textbook stuff. Going on to our debt service, we did get our property taxes at the end of the month of June as expected, and we were able to make all of our debt service payments in June. Our operations also received their property taxes. The audit expense you addressed was taken out of those up front. That's how they conduct their business on that. Utilities are one of our larger expenses in operations. We've had some lighting projects in hopes recently, in hopes that some of those utilities that will help bring some of that down. So we'll be watching that further. Overall, though, we've only expended 49% of our 2025 budget, which puts us, again, right kind of where we need to be. We've had no activity in June on the rainy day. Our 2022 bond, I know this one just keeps going. We've brought a lot of projects to you recently for approval out of that bond to the tune of just over $711,000. That is currently on hold right now for board-approved projects that we're waiting for them to finish up so we can pay them out, leaving us with just over about $100,000 left on that bond. So we're finally to that point where we're getting it used up. The 2024 bond, we've had very little activity. You're going to start seeing over the course of the fall, activity for that start to ramp up. As you saw, the projects have been approved. We put out a couple POs just this last week. So we'll start putting out money in that 2024 bond here this fall. So you'll see some activity start happening there. And then overall, food service is in a really good spot right now as we are transitioning to Chartwells as of July 1st. We are setting with a positive balance, and according to the community, they're excited about what's coming. So we are ready to go on food service. It's looking healthy as well. Any questions?
You anticipate that to stay healthy?
Yes, sir. And anticipate after looking at the menus that a few more kids might be excited to eat.
And down below here where it says Heartland roof payments, is that what's been taken out of the rainy day fund?
Yes, sir.
Do we have any idea when that rainy day fund is going to be starting to be repleted?
Not at this time.
I will entertain a motion to accept the fund monitoring report as presented. Thank you, Ms. Engineer.
So moved.
Thank you, Ms. Justice. Second.
Second.
Thank you, Dr. Pennington. Any discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? It is unanimous. Thank you. Moving along to board member comments. Anyone? Mr. Clark, superintendent comments?
No, at this time.
All right, thank you. I will accept the motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Thank you.